I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Only spread amongst gay people? Like, I'm
No,
Is that-
no.
No, apparently it's like same family as smallpox, and actually the smallpox vaccine is effective against it. However, it is there has been outbreaks in the UK and US, which typically, I guess, those are not countries where you get this outbreak of this specific virus.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of having a little bit of a panic about it. And apparently there was an outbreak in Montreal as well. But there was data in the UK apparently that said that it was able to be spread via sexually transmitted disease, and that there was an issue with the number of people in the UK that got sort of tagged that way. Yeah.
Right.
Because they were. Oh, there was an issue with the number of people who were tagged as sexually transmitted.
Yeah, and that they were exclusively like gay men, and then that gave and of course they're you can run away with that train.
Yeah, and I'm sure.
Yeah,
we're going to be hearing about this on Alex Jones very soon.
Yeah, and apparently it's really shitty. Really high fevers and sweats, swollen lymph nodes, and some like horrible shakes, and 1 in 10 people die.
Well, it's a pox,
and there's no
proper pox.
Yeah, and there's no
pox.
there's no a super effective treatment. I guess antivirals have a meh effect, and just a smallpox vaccine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're saying, they're I forgot my point. Go ahead. Well,
I don't remember what I was going to say either, because I'm a good listener.
I got it now. Okay, it is a shitty version of the smallpox, which is like at least we can take some solace in that.
Yeah,
it's like a low grade, a B-list smallpox.
Yeah, like the bird flu.
Yeah. Well, bird flu is legit.
B-list smallpox.
Yeah. There's been I don't know. I wonder if we're just more sensitive to it right now, and under normal conditions we might not have given a shit, but now we're all like, oh my goodness, we should actually pay attention to outbreaks.
Yeah,
I don't know,
what
man.
The fuck is next?
Load me up with some more vaccines, baby.
Yeah, fucking right.
Did you hear about that guy that was getting paid? No, sorry, he was making fake vaccine passports and selling them very lucratively. He actually he had been vaccinated with like Pfizer or some shit like 97 times.
Oh my god.
Jesus,
he kept going with like fake information and just getting vaccinated over and over again, and then selling the passports. But he got vaccinated like 97 times.
That's
how he fucking did it. There's got to be a better way. That's crazy.
Oh, there's got to be a way better way than that, buddy. Jesus Christ, take some Photoshop classes, man. Fuck me.
Yeah, exactly. Just forge them.
Yeah, that was that was his way, though. Just kidding.
Jesus.
It's gonna be real legit.
Yeah, I only sell for the best.
Accept no imitations.
Yeah, well, how would you fucking feel after all that? I
don't know, man. You just like, it's not even your body anymore, man. It's just like pure vaccine.
The funny thing are the people that are so fucking worried about getting the vaccine. This guy's just buzzing around. No problems here. Fuck.
Yeah, until he gets fucking, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's fine.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, he probably is, because it doesn't make a fucking difference, right? Like, it's just, at this point, his body probably doesn't even register it as anything, because it's used to it. Doesn't get any side effects or anything like that. He's just great. Real hero.
Yeah, hero to the people.
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, I'm a slight change of topic though, but it might actually be a good seg into our topic. Not that this wasn't. I'm happy to see the Russian army fucking bogged down and doing a shit job.
Oh my god, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How many people have they lost?
I don't know if anyone
Couldn't
knows.
say. Lots.
Yeah, it's significant. Like they're losing generals. They're losing, like, I saw that their top sniper apparently got killed in action today. It's just a shit show. Like it's impossible to imagine that. Like I read an article that it was about how European leaders were on the verge of like just kind of wondering now that Ukraine might win. Like we're a little bit worried that like what's going to happen from now, and they're kind of easing away from talk of support of Ukraine to being like we support a peaceful resolution because they don't want to wind Putin up too much.
Yeah. Or maybe they don't want. Maybe they're worried that the Ukrainians, like fresh off their win against Russia, are just going to dominate Europe.
Oh,
maybe that's the
probable.
real concern.
Yeah.
Probable. Yeah.
With all those javelin missiles.
Yeah, fucking Americans.
Yeah, what do you say to these guys after they win? Good job, guys. Did you want to join the UN or?
Yeah. Coming on in. NATO. Yeah,
I guess we left you hanging a bit, but
sorry.
No hard.
It's gonna be a little awkward, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What made me think of it was actually I was thinking of ye old American Werewolf in London from 1981. Just some of the imagery and stuff like that. Just the sort of presence of war in the background of all of it through the Doctor and also like when the fucking werewolf Nazis show up. Just put me in mind of current events.
Nice. It's a good transition.
Yeah. Great. You guys like American Werewolf in London? Is that good times for you?
Boy, do I.
Yeah. Good.
I don't know how to read that statement.
Yeah. I think he liked it. I think he means it.
Okay. This is your first watch, right, James?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Of American Werewolf in London. Yeah, that was my first viewing. Ginger Snaps, no. Proud Ginger Snaps owner, and I believe I worked at some kind of a video store when that came out, and was a big fan at the time.
Beautiful. This is probably my fourth time watching American Werewolf in London, and the first 3 times I liked it. This time I feel like I saw through it, and I don't really like it that much. I think it's a pretty thin movie.
No.
Yeah. But I get it. Like, it's not a bad movie. It's just kind of like there's a charm to it. It gets the horror moments right. We'll talk about that. But I felt like it was running on empty a little bit.
Neat. I'm surprised you saw it 4 times. I did not know that. I guess I've seen it. This was my second time. Yeah, I don't like the opening. Let's say that. I don't like the first, like, until he ends up in the hospital. I don't quite like this movie. Okay. I don't like the banter between the guys. I fucking hate England. The Moors and all that stuff. It looks like such a boring, shitty country. And I don't care that people are backpacking in it and they have like a terrible banter and they end up in the pub. And I guess the pub scene's all right. Yeah, I don't know. Just I was kind of like that. I thought the movie was kind of flat, but then once he starts having hallucinations, or actually from the moment there's the werewolf scene, right, where everybody gets torn up, and then the villagers show up and they shoot the werewolf, and you see from David's perspective, like the thing that just got shot as a human, and I think from then on I'm like, okay, this movie's cooking, but kind of slow and awkward for me.
I felt totally opposite. Okay, that's
interesting.
Yeah, and I really thought there was good liftoff right at the beginning. Love the banter, love the bar scene. There's nothing for you here. Those fucking guys, real discomfort right away.
Yeah.
I like that. I don't know why the fuck you'd be backpacking there.
Well, that's it.
Even today.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason to be there. No. Not enjoyable. They're not nice people.
Yeah.
Over at the Slaughtered Lamb.
Yeah, they're real dicks.
You know what? I'm sticking by that too. Like, I'm gonna generalize that too.
People of the Moors are all bastards.
Yeah.
Just people.
I
I don't know, like English people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking assholes.
That'll stand. That one old guy in the bar, he's such a like protective asshole, and I don't understand why. Like he's like a werewolf hipster. He knew about them before they're a big deal, and he's so protective of that information. But this movie doesn't give you a lot to like a lot of context. Like you have this whole pub, and it's obvious it's been happening for a long time. It's called the Slaughtered Lamb. They got like fucking severed wolf heads on the pub, but it's just one guy running around in a field, and he can easily be brought down with guns. But they have this whole setup to protect against. They have the 5-pointed star on the wall, and like the American kids are like, like that. Oh, that's using witchcraft. Like, what's going on with that? And they're just, like they know about this thing, but it's hard to understand why it's such a big deal for like in this country. Maybe it's just fear. Maybe it's just that they're tentative about the fact that there's a werewolf out there, and they'd rather just avoid it.
That's my feeling. I might take that particular tact. Like they came out in force with all their guns to murder that werewolf, and
why not do that from the beginning?
Well, I agree. So I guess I have two questions, or I have one sort of question that, like, what would it give the movie? In what way would it make the movie better for that backstory? What could be said about the vampire, the werewolf, that would make the resolution of this movie any better?
Okay.
I'm not
I'm going to give you an answer.
Oh, please. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Because one of the problems I had with this movie this time around is like, it seems to promise some sort of like cultural conflict between America and England. Like, I don't know, like it's sort of like a Werewolf Henry James sort of thing, like the Americans being out of water.
That's fair. I semi sort of hope that there'd be like a circle back around to like old fucking werewolf David Kessler feasting upon the people in the Slaughtered Lamb.
That would be a lot better.
Nice. That'd be a nice finish for me. Little fucking icing on the cake.
Circle.
Ooh, fucking just blood leaking out of the door.
We're just good. Angry at them for being dicks and English.
That's true.
That would have been perfect.
I don't know. Okay. Well, I know we're jumping around and stuff, but that ending, like when he's in that alley and all the cops are there and the press and stuff like that. Like this is and he just like dies in the trash. You're like, you can't
I
do
love
that.
you. That was a comedic ending.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You know what's even better about that too is that, and this goes towards my point that I feel like this movie flails a lot, and it's written by a 19-year-old David Landis, right? So like, kind of makes sense. There's some plot holes. I feel like it's a tentative movie. I feel like it doesn't really know what to do with itself. It doesn't really know which direction to take itself. So it just kind of throws a bunch of things out and kind of chews time and just kind of like counts the minutes for a lot of the movie. And one of the things is like when he meets the nurse and like they're in the apartment, he says like, like maybe I think a werewolf can only be killed by someone who truly loves him. That doesn't pay off at all. Like the people who truly love him is a line of British policemen firing rifles. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's almost like they're like they dangle the lore in front of you, but nothing ever really pays off. It's just not like there is no werewolf lore. I feel like they kind of toy with that in the bar too, where they're like, "What the fuck are we gonna say to him anyway? They just think we're crazy." Like, it's a fucking werewolf out there. So it's almost like just dismissed so that you can enjoy the shit show.
Yeah, and that's fine for the setup. But then when the doctor goes back later to investigate, and they're still like,
and you still get like, fuck all.
Yeah, like this guy was mauled by a wolf creature, and like I don't understand what's going on. You could probably give him some relevant information. Yeah.
That he fucking is like, think I'm gonna go get some info from this fucking terrified guy, and then just go back to my car. That'll amount to nothing except for I'm now aware there's werewolves, and everyone else just thinks I'm crazy.
I think this movie, I agree with like what you're all saying is fine. There's a bunch of problems, right? But it's also about someone who turns into a werewolf, and so that might be a problem too. Where this movie shines for me is not in the structure of its plot, which like again I'll admit, it's not the Pirates of the Caribbean. Whoa, but it like in sort of the subtext is where like in the emotions that it. It's about a young man who's horny, right? And he wants to fuck, but somewhere through that, And with the lycanthropy, turning into a werewolf is his sort of manifestation, like becoming man. And through that, like there's also like that's why with the Nazi imagery and all that stuff, like it's also sort of tied up with Dr. Hirsch, and he's like, when he's talking with Dr. Hirsch, he's saying that, like, it wasn't a lunatic, it was a monster, like, and the doctor's like or the I don't know, David's saying something like a man couldn't do this, and he's like, you'd be surprised what horrors a man is capable of. And he says he fought Rommel, he was in World War II, he's fighting Nazis. There's something about like the repression of the male experience in World War II, which is sort of somehow bubbling up in David as well. It's like his sexuality and has somehow got tied in with a sort of violent militarism and folklore all at once, and it's sort of manifesting itself in his like coming of age, which makes it sound very fucking highfalutin, but that's kind of how I experience it, particularly with the music, all those love songs and stuff like that, Blue Moon and
the soundtrack's phenomenal. And let's talk about Jenny Gutter, Nurse Alex. Nurse Alex is smoking hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nurse Price. Yeah, she can change my dressing.
I'm glad you said dressing.
She was awesome. And you know what? Good on David for deciding that, he should risk her life just to sleep with her. Even though he was fairly aware he was a werewolf based on his corpse friend Jack visiting him.
Yeah,
in
Jack.
Intervals.
Oh.
Jack was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I also think there's like there was like, for me, there was like such a fucking stupid comedy element just like woven through the whole thing too, where like amidst the horror there was also just so much fucking cheese, and they knew it too. They knew what they were fucking working with. Like this wasn't, you know what I mean? Like the special effects were practical and fucking terrible, and they were just working with some funny elements. Like he was visiting them like a fucking Ebenezer Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
It was like and then he was changing. It was like, I don't know. They were doing like a Ghost of Christmas Past thing. It was killing me. I thought it was really clever and funny. I was with it the whole way. I don't know.
His delivery is great as Jack, like as zombie Jack. I fucking love it. I don't want to upset you, David, but
yeah,
it's
I like
you.
that little bit of like wobbling flesh that's on his like face. Like, especially, I thought the effects were actually quite good. The makeup was quite good for the time. That like, especially his first appearance where he's like got that like gouging gash on his face, and also calling back to that like the one. Well, I think this movie does get its horror moments right, and I really like the confrontation on the moors where they're kind of using humor to like cover up their unease, where it's like, oh shit, it's circling us, oh fuck, and like just kind of like going about their business, trying to like laugh it off. And when that thing attacks, it's just completely savage. And then David like runs, which is like
David books it, and then
comes back,
killing me.
Yeah. And he just comes back because it's like, he can't leave his friend, but it's like, that's such a real, I mean, that'd be me.
It strikes me as a very real thing, and it takes a little while, like, if at all, to like get control of yourself again.
So there's that guilt. Yeah. There's that guilt as he's like seeing his zombie friend just like torn, with the torn flap and all that, and like that was pretty well done. But I think I would argue that this movie fails that, like, Alan Moore proposes this test he wrote a book about writing comics. It's like the so what test. So what test? Like what, a guy turns into a werewolf. So what? I don't think this movie really has an answer to that. Like it tries to go with love, and I don't think it's a very convincing love story. It tries to go with, like the tragedy of the people killed by werewolves are unnatural and will stalk as the undead, which just ends up being like just a weird tacked on element. And it's not really a tragedy either. It's like he doesn't have a chance. Like it's just the end is in the beginning, and there's no way around it.
Mm-hmm. I feel personally that I've answered the so what question, which is just that this is not a movie about a werewolf. It's about a guy who's his becoming a werewolf is his fucking boner, you know, and his fucking masculinity and all that repressed shit coming through, and you know, like it comes out in a porno theater, right?
Yeah, that part's good.
Yeah,
The endless orgy being sort of like a proximity for the violence that he's bringing to the table.
Yeah, and all of his victims are there, you know, and those that's fucking hilarious. You know, like it doesn't like, again, this is not fucking high art, but I don't think it's pointless, you know, and I think there is an answer to the question of so what, you know, like it's here's a werewolf story. A guy turns into a werewolf. They failed with the cultural interaction, although they gesture to it. Again, when he turns into a werewolf, Mickey Mouse, they just flash to Mickey Mouse for a second, which I was just like, oh, perfect. Mwah. And yeah, and then he's like in Piccadilly Square or whatever. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't quite confront, you know?
Yeah.
And
I guess in a sense.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, there's that scene where he tries to get the police officer to arrest him, and he's just like, I'm a werewolf officer, and the guy's just like, get out of here. Like, I'm giving you another chance, and you just can't. You can't do
Charles
anything
is a fag.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he says that. That's right. Yeah.
I just, for a movie, so I'm watching Nurse Price and David in the grocery store right now, and she's talking about inflation, which is, you know, a little close to home for us right now. She's like, my pay can't possibly keep up with inflation, and then they're in the subway watching the punks and stuff like that. Like, this movie, it doesn't need all these things, but it, like, and I guess you're saying that it just kind of like throws them out, but maybe the parts I feel the parts add up to something, and it's certainly not a throwaway movie. I think there's a lot of sort of art to it, but, you know, I'll never claim it's like, I kind of like this movie. It's fun, but it's never going up in my top whatever. It's not making my list, right?
I can see this. I can understand why this is in a corner of like cult classics, though.
For sure. Yeah, I don't see how it couldn't be. If for the transformation alone, I mean, I think that transformation, the first werewolf transformation, or the only werewolf transformation, given the times, like 1981, that's hard to fucking pull off. And
it's great.
Yeah,
and it was very cool. Actually, I saw some pictures of how they did it. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did they do it?
He's underneath the floor. It's like there's just his head's popping up and everything's like prosthetic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's and like I said, I do believe that this movie sticks its horror moments. That's a great one. The transformation looks painful. You know, he just starts, I'm burning up, and it's like a body horror moment, which is good. Yeah, like,
oh my
good
God,
on it for that. It won the Academy Award for makeup and like whatever, right? Like I think Jim Henson Puppets was involved too.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Actually, I mean, it's old. I knew it was old. But for some reason I thought it was early 90s. I didn't realize it was 1981 until before we started doing the podcast today. So it was like, yeah, the special effects are actually quite good. Really, like, for practical. I mean, you had to use practical effects first of all.
Yeah.
Or you go with claymation, which I'm glad, you know, they didn't stray down that road.
Yeah.
That's a special road.
And you know the angry pub guy too. I was gonna say, what was that guy's name?
The bald guy,
pub guy. Yeah, Brian Glover, the old angry bald guy. He was in Alien 3. He was the first,
fuck.
the fucking
Nice.
obnoxious prison warden that got eaten right straight away.
Oh,
Right.
good eye.
Well, okay, fuck. Sorry, just taking a drink. Oh fuck, there's something. This movie has the worst sex scene for a movie that
it's so
to
awkward.
my mind, is like about sex and about a guy's quest to, like, you know, become a man and all that shit. Awful. Just a terrible sex scene.
Yeah, it's like she's
That's
like,
fair.
no, I didn't do it. She's kind of like nibbling on him, but like in this like super awkward way. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair, especially for a hard R, like, comedy splatter horror.
Yeah, you might as well have left it out or just implied it or something.
Yeah, throw it. I mean, you know what though? Maybe Nurse Alex wasn't into that. You know, she doesn't want to show it all. It's fine.
Well,
It's the difference between Americans and Brits.
Yeah. She's modest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James, I had to come at you a bit though, because I don't. It's
You don't
Jack
like Nurse
who's
Price?
no, she's good. It's Jack who's presented as the really horny one. Like he's the guy who at the start is like, you know, like what's that girl's name? He's always talking about like she's not gonna have a choice but to have sex with me. And like he's going on about her in when he comes back in the vision. You know, he's as a ghost has been like checking in on her. And maybe I'm just misremembering it, but I don't think David I think he kind of just falls into this relationship with this nurse.
He might, but I think that actually kind of supports my position. Like, okay, so I'm taking as a given that David is a sexual being. Two, but he's not an overtly sexual being, so like he's sort of repressing it or keeping it under wraps. And then, he's bit, and it exacerbates from that seed, from that moment. And then women are drawn to, that nurse who, she shouldn't have been drawn to him. There's something in the scenario about that, like the fact of his injury.
He's charming, fish out of water, poor, it's like, his best friend just got killed. She's totally vulnerable to that.
Yeah, and she even says so. I find you very attractive, very, very attractive, but a little sad.
Yeah.
And for her, that's a little spice. She's like, that's what I want. I don't think that my thesis requires for him to be the horny guy at the beginning of the movie. I think that every guy's a horny guy when Nurse Price shows up, and you've been bit by a werewolf. So.
Well, fair enough. I kind of feel like maybe you're reading ginger snaps into this movie, but that's fine. I can see why you.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. That is why I paired these movies, because like from my perspective, I always viewed this movie as sort of if a werewolf is about male sexuality, Ginger Snaps is about female sexuality.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think Ginger Snaps is much more, I guess, sliding over there, unless there's anything else we want to say about American Werewolf in London. It explores the theme much more thoroughly, let's say that, and with much more like a razor focus, which certainly has its strength. Do you own Ginger Snaps, James? I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure though, because I believe that I used to own it on VHS. So
shit.
I don't know that I actually have it on DVD. I gotta go flip through my stuff, but I think I have it on DVD also.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I was a big fan at the time.
Back in the year 2000. 2000.
No, it was older than that, wasn't it?
No,
if it's not 2000, it's 1999. But Chris, you sound like you.
I thought it was 2001. 2000. I think 2000 makes sense.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, okay. So it's
20-year-old James enjoyed Ginger.
Fucking right.
Yeah, I love this movie too. I still love this movie.
This is what I wish. Sorry, Chris. This is what I wish Buffy the Vampire Slayer was like.
No, fair.
And if this was what Buffy the Vampire Slayer was like, I'd show up week after week after week until today. It's I don't know where to begin. I love. Let's start at the opening. I love the opening. I love that it's fucking suburban sprawl. It's all gray. Or it's not even gray. It's like gray skies. Everything's all a shade of yellow, and there's power lines amongst the houses. And all the houses look, it's fucking suburbia. So all the houses look the same. They got those little shitty backyards, and there's a immediate oppressiveness of it. It's its own flavor. Like you could do the same shot from the city, But this is how they they did it in the suburbs, and that's a major component of how you, maybe, I don't know if you have to do it to I don't even know if you need that environment in order to for this movie to work, but it certainly helps.
I think it. Yeah, I'm gonna argue that it's really important to the movie. In fact, it's got that sign at the start, and I wrote this down. That it's like community lots starting from 175,000. First of all,
Yeah.
how? But also, like it's that like ironic invitation to suburbia, but it's just this flat field. It's still being
Right.
built.
Yeah. An invitation. Yeah, I did notice in nowadays. Yeah, both of them interact with the modern day in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. If only it were so inexpensive now.
Yeah, it was true, and they kept like whenever the girls were like running away from something, you're caught in between like shitty fences, like sort of like weak privacy prison kind of, and then
Right.
the same thing happened with the school. It just felt like you were attached to a locker or a brick wall or everything was just generic, and it was prison like.
Yeah, and it's very growing up, even in I know the suburbs where, I believe it was here in Toronto that they filmed this. I don't remember though.
Felt like
But either-
Mississauga.
It is a Canadian movie.
Yeah. So I think it was in the Greater Toronto area, but even though it's filmed there, like it looks like any, it even feels like elements of Northern Ontario. Like if you lived in a certain space, you might have a house that still looked exactly like that, and that's neighborhood that still looked exactly like that. There's something on Canadian about it, and probably North American.
Brampton, Mississauga, and Toronto. For the record, those were the filming locations.
Makes perfect sense.
So it's really, it's evoking a certain sort of.
I like even those smarmy kids that are like just like when that lady comes out and her like first thing is the dog's torn apart, and the woman just runs out in the street. There's like smarmy kids playing hockey, just kind of smirking at her. It's like that.
Yeah,
that feels true to the locale too.
Well, it's not the first time she's like come out screaming.
Totally true.
Yeah. Fucking, there's a lot of dead dogs in this movie.
Yeah.
It's the first casualty of a werewolf outbreak is dead dogs. So
this movie, by the way, guys, got brutalized in the box office.
Oh yeah.
With a budget of 4.5 million, box office 570,000.
Jesus.
Oh, that
I
doesn't.
wonder if it's limited release, maybe.
Well, I can see this movie not. It's very confrontational. It's very aggressive.
And it was, you know what? And it was a big. I just remember it being like a big video thing, like in the video store. I remember it being like a big thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mean like a lot of people were renting it?
Yeah, to rent.
Yeah.
I remember it
That
being
makes
like you had to get that baby home for a run.
I don't remember it being in theaters, but I remember finding it. I don't remember how I found it, but like I watched this like multiple times.
I don't know if this would have anything to do with it. I was kind of bopping around on Wikipedia, and I had read that there was a controversy prior to its release because of Columbine, which was April 20th, 1999. And
Okay.
I just wonder if maybe everyone was like, "Ugh, this is in poor taste right now."
Well, there is a vibe. There's definitely like a school shooter vibe to what Ginger becomes.
Yeah.
Wait a sec. I think that did mess with the box office release. I remember. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do remember reading some trivia about that being like there was an issue where they just didn't run it, and then that might have delayed the release or like destroyed the box office on it, and then it might have just tried to then you just try to do what you can, pick up the pieces on a direct to video release, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys get the speaking of these controversies, did you guys get that Heathers vibe from it? Because I never really made that
for
connection
sure.
before, but yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and even the way that they're like staging their suicides at the beginning for that art project, and it's like, oh man, this totally reminds me of that romanticizing suicide thing that we were talking about in that episode.
Yeah, I did like that, and I did like the I like the end with the sort of like musical montage, of going through all the suicides in like that, like as if that was like their family photos that you were mourning. Very dark. And then some of the great shots at the end of the sort of symmetrical bedroom almost being like a church chapel.
Yeah.
Well, it's beginning, like that's exactly how it begins as well. Like the very scenes that we're watching at the beginning of them playing at suicide and playing at teen angst, and then we see them in their bedroom having, we see them in their church-like bedroom, engaging in a pact together. And then we see all their playful suicides and the Seven-esque credits. And then, and then you're right, James. At the end, like all that stuff is evoked right at the end. Remember when this was playful? And remember when it was just like a pact between two teenagers? Well, fuck, like this is, speaking of dramatic unity and, beginning leading to the end and all the stuff that wasn't in American Werewolf. Here it is here, wrapped up in a nice little bow, even with a nice little ambiguous ending. You don't know exactly how it is resolved. Did she cure her lycanthropy? Did she cure her sister so she could die human? Who knows?
Yeah. In fact,
we could find that out if you want.
Yeah,
we
there's part 2, right?
Snaps 2. Yeah,
That's right. When she has the like the syringe and the knife in her hands, I believe that she pulls out the knife, like it's the knife that she sticks Ginger with. But I guess she could have got her with the syringe too. So you're right. Yeah, it is pretty hard to know what happened.
Yeah, I strongly suspect that, like, I don't Ginger Snaps 2, I toyed with the idea of watching it prior to this discussion, and also Ginger Snaps 3, because why not? I want to go back in time to the 1800s and see about the werewolves. But I'm inclined to think that, just based on this movie, that she would have cured herself afterwards, and then everybody would have picked up the pieces.
That's not I haven't seen the second one, but I convinced myself that I should actually. Like I just at the time I was like, I don't need another Ginger Snaps. That movie's perfect. Like why go on? But apparently she is a werewolf in the next one, and it is a bit of an issue. So
it looks like honestly, actually, the reviews aren't too bad, and I always like a returning cast.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to do that, let us know how it goes.
I'm gonna let you guys know how it goes.
Oh, you're gonna? Yeah, okay, yeah, please do. Yeah, like I don't know, maybe we can come back to this. Maybe this will be
we'll see.
This will be like our sniper. We're just gonna do all.
Could be diminishing returns.
But... It definitely is diminishing.
Returns. It can't not be diminishing returns because this movie's like it's worthy of sequels. It's worthy of a small franchise, and within the horror industry, like if you have a good movie, then you make a sequel and you make another sequel and you just fucking keep doing it. So we shouldn't be surprised that they did it here. That's what you do.
I really liked Sam and Bridget's relationship also. Thought that was great. And also I remembered Sam's death right away when the scene came up. Because there's a lot of parts of the movie I didn't remember from a while back, and
a couple years.
But I remembered that scene as soon as I saw the sort of like the staging where she was trying to save him and he was given the old Terminator 2 breath.
Oh yeah,
I was like, oh fuck, I remember this. This was a rough death.
Yeah.
So this is post Terminator. Yeah, because I thought of Miles Dyson. I absolutely did. I was like, that's definitely them doing the Miles Dyson. That's a choice. Yeah,
and my boy Sam with a hot performance there too. You know what I always remember about that Miles Dyson death? I don't know if you ever recall this. Was my mom being totally fucking disturbed by Terminator 2 because that's like actually how people die in real life.
Wow.
Mhm.
and it genuinely bothered her.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I took that away with me anyway.
Yeah, no, I think about that I think about Miles Dyson a lot more than I ought to as a consequence of that.
That comment, me too.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just like, fuck.
I was like, great.
Anyway, yeah,
Makes an impression.
yeah.
I like Sam, like, yeah, what a great character, like the local drug dealer, like being the guy who has the knowledge of like herbal lore to combat werewolves, and like to come up with a concoction to try to reduce the effects.
And what a concoction.
Yeah. Real hygienic. Eh?
Yeah. I'd love just we need some alcohol, just some swab, and put this stuff in it, and just like make a syringe, and you're good to go.
Yeah, man, listen, I was buying what they were selling.
Why not, man? Like, there's a werewolf bopping around. I don't give a shit about what's in the syringe. I'm
Yeah,
like
that thing has a strong immune system. It heals itself instantly, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I really appreciate too, like, this movie does so many things well. Like, it's such a taut, like, really well structured movie, and I love that they don't waste any time. It's like, what's the thing you hit with your car? Oh, I think it was a werewolf officer, and then they just jump right into like, yeah, here's werewolf lore. Like, no trying to investigate or like, oh, I don't believe what I saw.
Yeah. That on the one hand, Sam's they get away with that because Sam's like he's surprised even by the fact that he jumped to that. But there's something, I don't know. He's like, I made this intuitive leap, because I guess I do a bunch of drugs. But it allows the audience to be just like, okay, he thinks it's weird too. It's like, because like if you played it too straight, must have been a werewolf. People were
Yes.
like, well, why the fuck, But if he seems a little weirded out, then we're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and you can just run with it.
Yeah. And that's actually that's a good technique. That's something to steal. Like just sort of audience psychology. Yeah, I like that. Fuck, I don't know. Okay, well so this is another movie about lycanthropy equals sexual maturation. Like reasonable minds can argue whether or not American Werewolf in London did that good at all, but this movie is definitely like, and it's even prior to the bite. So they have the pact or whatever, but Ginger is clearly the sexually favored by the boys of the school. And there's that slight rift between the two girls is as one is kind of left behind, one is entering into the world of like teenage sexuality and menstruation and hair growth and all that shit, and the other one's
the hilarious part of I was gonna say is the coming of the menstrual cycle contrasted with the werewolf symptoms.
Yeah.
And the mom throwing down those hilarious gags. It's perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all the like puberty or like just like in general, like like sexuality is treated as body horror in a way, or it's just like the pure discomfort with it. The guidance counselor is just like, she was bleeding a lot. No, a thick voluminous discharge is completely normal. They're so uncomfortable.
I'm watching her at the dinner table right now, Ginger, and she's like, it's, again, this is even prior to the bite, she's constantly like rubbing her lower back or whatever, and her mom's like, you got pain in your lower back or whatever, and like later on that's going to manifest as a tail. And there's almost the werewolf's almost, you might not even need it, right? You wouldn't need the werewolf attack for this movie to just like flow into being a werewolf movie, but obviously you need a werewolf because it's a fucking werewolf movie. But
yeah, but it's timed precisely with it, when she starts menstruation. Guys want to talk menstruation? It's gonna happen. I'll
with
take
3 guys. Well. It's like, yeah,
absolutely.
No one knows more.
Yeah, exactly. When that starts is exactly the moment where the werewolf attacks her.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Yeah. Wow. Oh fuck.
In fact, I'm going to make an argument here that like the whole, like the subtext, like it's done so artfully and so symbolically, and it's all under the surface. But if you tease it out, like this movie I think is really about just the possibility of, like, for women, like it's just the feminist tilt that, becoming sexual is the possibility of being erased at the same time. And like for Ginger and Bridget, like that, like they're both 3 years late on their cycle, but that gives them something unique. Like there's something that sets them off, and I think that they also like want to protect that, because like becoming sexually desired is also possibly the death of individuality. It could be, it's the possibility of being initiated into the social order and becoming just like, a function of a woman, like a mother, like settling into that suburban trap of the home and the family and all that shit. So that's the anxiety at the core of the script.
Yeah, and that's actually, you're right. Yeah, I'll agree with that. And I think that Mom's reaction, like what the mom says later on, when like she discovers that Ginger's a fucking werewolf and caused all the murders and stuff like that, and she just like, okay, we're gonna burn the house down. We're gonna, your dad can fuck off.
Yeah,
yeah, that was amazing. It's true. Yeah, Chris, I know all that stuff's kind of like there for you to grab at, but that's such a great summary of it.
Thanks. Yeah, and you're right, but yeah, that's exactly it. Like she says, oh, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh no, there was just one more thing about the mom. She's talking about like, people are gonna blame me for what happened, and that she's like, it's not your fault, Mom. It's like, that's not how it works.
Exactly. And when Ginger's talking about sexuality, like, even though like she's completely sexually aggressive with Jason, she's like, that's not how it works. Like, he got laid, I'm just the lay. And that's the order that she's being initiated into. Yeah.
There's the Madonna or the slut and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, that's like kind of facile, but on the other hand, it's like, it's a fucking werewolf movie. I keep saying vampire movie. And you don't need to fucking nuance your shit.
No.
Although there is something of it though. Like this isn't so I don't know, maybe it is so black and white, but it still manages to not be I don't know, like just like getting in your face and screaming about women's issues. It's just kind of like, it just kind of mixes it in nicely, and it comes to the surface every once in a while, and subtext becomes text just for a moment, and then it goes back to some text, and then it moves on, so that way you don't feel you preached. That's the word.
It's so clever about it too, and just like that idea, like just right after she's attacked, like, I got the curse, like, and it's like, it's completely linking it to that werewolf mythology, right? Like moons and like whatever. It's like, it's hilarious. It's so well done.
Yeah. I don't know. I love the special effects on this fucking thing. Is considering it's a Canadian movie in the year 2000, and it's obviously you can't have CGI. Like the practical effects on this are just fucking great. It's so gory, and it's so really aggressive in its use of, like, people are just fucking eating blood, right? They're just like, it's like, oh Jesus Christ,
great scene.
Yeah. Or even the opening up when it's that child is playing in the sandbox, and he just like smears blood all over his face, and you're like, wow, all right. And then like plays with this like dead dog's paw, and I was like, first of all, good work getting a child to do that. Excellent. And then it just really sets the tone. You haven't even met the main characters yet, and you already have like a dismembered dog and a bloody child. Good work, guys.
Bodies are just meat in this, and it's that savagery really is like the exact right tone for the to do a werewolf movie, and that sort of like savage instinct that she has.
Yeah.
I really like the cheerleader death.
Oh yeah.
How does she? Oh shit! Yeah, when she like slips and hits her brain or whatever.
Yeah. It was fantastic. And then it's just like such a shitty accident. And then I really like that they just fucking stuffed her in the freezer. And then the finger discovery later by Mom that sort of like spearheads that Mom. I don't know. Mom like gets in tune, but doesn't quite make the cut all the way to the full knowledge base of what's going on, but like is still willing to bail them out for murder. And it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate she does disappear like into the party. She's like, there's like, stay here, Mom. I'll go get Ginger. And then Mom, for whatever reason, goes into the party, and then we never see her again. And it made me think actually that they didn't need her. If I had to pick a flaw with this movie, it's that they didn't need Mom to discover what happened. This movie could have continued with, but the only reason they had the scene where Mom discovers it is so she could have that speech. And they just wanted that beat so badly, and they couldn't resist the temptation. Also, I guess they paid money for that actress who's
Mimi Rogers.
Yeah. So she had to have a larger role. So there's probably a lot of practical things, but like we really could have done without her later on, and it would have been. They could have fit in their beat earlier, I think. So I don't know how. That's their problem. But
yeah, or they could have just given her something to do at the end of the movie. But I can't.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been best. Maybe she shows up and like shotguns it in the back or something.
Yeah, or
get
you
away from her, bitch.
You could have even just done the resolution with her driving away with the younger daughter or something. Who knows? But
yeah, because this movie is doing two things. Like it's making all that like the feminist point, but it's also looking at Bridget's, I guess, like conformity to Ginger's. Because the mom is saying, like you're not attached at the wrist, you're your own person, sort of stuff. And and even like what Ginger's so offended that Bridget is different from her at all. As her descent comes about, it's increasingly like, I don't even think like we're the same blood anymore, and she's just trying to get her to go along and like accept that journey with dragging her down, because it is like with her it's like self-destruction with or more, I don't know, like she's like, it's also aggression against society. With Bridget it's more like her interest in the pact was more just, I guess, not wanting to exist, and her like even the nickname that Ginger calls her, like B, all the time, it's like such a diminutive, like it's like she's like the beta of the group. It's she has a role in this pack already. Like it's at the end, it's she what really gets Ginger to attack her in the wolf form is when she just says, I'm not going to die with you, and that's what brings it to a head.
Yeah. And Bridget's like the actress, I didn't write down her name, but she's so good, and she's so perfect for the role.
Yeah.
And getting to your idea that she's like totally submissive, like she's always bowing her head around Ginger. She's never really like standing erect. Not that that's like I just mean that she's not putting her head up, right?
No, her body language. She doesn't make eye contact with people. Like her body language just speaks it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's interacting with Sam right now, and she's not even like, she's like looking at his chest. She's totally afraid to make eye contact with anybody. And so her relationship with Ginger is toxic. But we see that, right? Like, because the movie begins with, as James said, like all the, or at the very least it begins with all the suicides things, and then it ends with like, look how fucking, this is not a healthy way to be.
Exactly.
This is not good, right? Yeah. I was reminded of It Follows.
Oh man, I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah. Because again, sort of sexually like you gave it to Jason. You had unprotected sex and you gave it to him. And I know that's
the best is when Jason fucking comes like fucking maiming a kid in the park. Yeah, come and get it, baby. He's just like this fucking absolute ludicrous version of the infected.
I like my favorite part of him is when he's in the closet, though, when he like approaches Bridget, in like he slams her in that janitor's closet, and he's like, I'm growing a fucking tail, like,
yeah,
I'm across the street from fucked upville, and I'm just like, good for you, pal. Like you're these lines, you're singing them, you're doing it.
The best is the fucking pissing blood.
Oh fuck.
Oh god, yeah. Speaking of body horror,
What are you looking at? Speaking
Speaking of body horror.
What are you looking at? This cranberry juice.
Yeah,
Back
this
in
is
the-
this is one of those rare high school movies where I feel that everybody is high school age. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
They feel like real kids. They feel like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was gonna mention that too. I know that was your big beef with Heathers and other movies in the genre that everybody's 30 years old. In this case, everybody actually did look high school age. The sexual encounters and the talk of sex seemed high school age, just juvenile and fucking ludicrous. Oh, she's good to go. She's got like a cigarette. I don't know. Fucking looks. Everybody's just like a despicable child.
Yeah. They capture it perfectly. Like, getting even down to how they smoke cigarettes. It's not like no one's a mature woman or any shit like that.
No, everything is just like amateurish and sort of pathetic and
I don't know if there's anything deeper to other than like it makes me want to talk about It Follows. It's like fuck that.
No, I actually think that there's one thing I was kind of thinking is like I don't really like werewolf movies in general, and I'm thinking that they've kind of maybe been supplanted in modern horror by movies like It Follows and Raw that kind of take that idea, the idea of just transformation or transgression, but maybe spin it more in a body horror kind of way.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, definitely in the case of Raw, with It Follows, that's more like a haunting, like a sexually transmitted haunting.
Yeah, but I sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't think I had anything to say after that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I think what this movie finds, I think my fundamental point is that werewolves are kind of lame, but what this movie finds in it is these ideas of like sexually transmitted disease or like just like the body horror of it. And so they like Ginger Snaps almost takes that Cronenberg lesson and draws it out.
Yeah, and it's a Canadian movie, right? We have a tradition of body horror in this country. Good for us.
Yeah.
And that makes us a little more. I don't know. It makes us a little more European. We got our own Ingmar Bergman. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Chris. And also because like werewolf movies are fucking lame. Like what, Silver Bullet, Howl, like fucking name werewolf movies that are worth a fucking damn. You're not gonna find one.
It's true. It's such a hard thing to portray too. It's like a big dog. So if it's done bad, you end up with a big dog, which no one gives a fuck about. Like I don't give a fuck about a big dog. It's barely scary. It's laughable. It's weird. It's like less scary than a fucking generic bear. It's just stupid. So it's really hard to deal with. And then if you do portray it right, I feel like you have to get that sort of like hind leg stand up. Like that's when I get freaked out. Like that's a fucked up animal there. If I get the hind leg stand up werewolf brand, and then like if I'm begging for the best of this genre, I'm thinking what are the best modern takes on this? I guess Harry Potter does an okay job.
I understand that Twilight has a werewolf or so.
Oh God,
Twilight, yeah, let's go Twilight on that, and they're. And therein lies your bad version where I get a dog.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the werewolves in is that what happens in Twilight?
Yeah. Like
I've only been teased. Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, you're really gonna you better get yourself ready for some excitement.
Yeah. They've only teased it. I just watched the first Twilight movie last night or the other night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, you gotta go. He's got to go through it, right, Chris? You gotta go through it.
They're laughable, like they're ludicrous. I mean, but anyway,
there were bits. I think
they're horrible.
We're sidetracked slightly, but they're horrible.
Sidetracked slightly.
No, the first, let's say like hour 0.25 of Twilight, not bad as far as a teenage superhero, Gossip Girl kind of story. not bad. But then all of a sudden it goes very bad. You know, like they start visiting the family and they
it's
play
all
baseball
downhill.
and
all downhill.
yeah. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
Every movie's worse. Like you're on their journey.
Very good.
I
Very
like
good.
it.
But I was gonna say there's one new movie called The Curse that looks good, but it seems to be operating more of a supernatural idea. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited to. But it's sort of like this idea of like a town being haunted by the idea of a werewolf, maybe, or like cursed by a witch. Yeah, but that's the only. Apparently, Dog Soldiers is good too. I haven't seen that, but that's pretty much it. I think, and what Ginger Snaps does so well is it just does awful things and closes off that. It gives you that feeling that like everything's being closed off. You know, as Bridget tries to save her sister, it just keeps getting like further and further from redemption. And when they when that cheerleader dies, it's just like it's almost like noirish. You know, they bury the body in that fridge, like literally a fridging by these girls. And these I love that's actually a very like one of the true funny moments in the movie where like they distract the mom from going in the freezer by just being like, Mom, what do boys want? And then it cuts to like the mom sitting there. That's what boys want. And she's like, just the defeated, humiliated look on Bridget's face is like perfect.
Yeah.
Look,
and that's really
so
all they
glad
want.
you asked.
Yeah. Her kids finally have a use for her. She's like the happiest moment of her life.
Right. And I bet there's like there is something of like basic sexual politics in that, which is like, yeah, you know, like if the guys aren't, sorry, maybe I'm only speaking for myself, you know, we're easily satisfied. It's fine. You know, you just have to go through certain like motions, etc. And you know, that's been like, it's just funny to me to have that like basic conversation, like the frank truth revealed to the women, you know, and you just, and yeah, you know, like on the one hand, but I'm sorry, like that's explaining the joke, right? Like that's what's funny about it.
Yeah,
because afterwards, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of which, that idea of you know, like when Ginger says, like, you know, nobody ever thinks that women can do something like this. We'll be fine. We'll just coast on the way the world works.
Right. Which, oh shit, you know, which that ties into your invisibility thing, but it's also kind of like, and I don't want to like, there's a sense that they've found a, you know, like, okay, we've identified how the world works. We're going to use this to allow us to transgress.
Right.
You know, which is, I guess, you know, what would we say that is, like third wave feminism, you know, finding agency within one's oppression, you know, something like that.
Yeah. It's like and a serial killer / murderer
yes,
kind of
yeah. It doesn't want for nuance. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's a rare instance where Cynthia was on board with all the bleeding. She can't fucking handle that. She cannot handle blood. Totally fine with this. Something about it. There's something about the I don't know. Just the excellent, just the way everything's metaphorized, figured. It just allows one to watch it without getting grossed out at the same time as something absolutely fucking disgusting is happening. You know,
guys, for the record, this is not reviewed as well as American Werewolf in London.
That's shocking to me.
And to me it's not, because like American Werewolf is more of a crowd pleaser. It's more a stadium rock, right? This is more aggressive. It's similar themes, but far more aggressive. Far, you know, we've already.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You mean like just much more uncomfortable? Like,
yeah, I just watched her pull down Ginger's panties slightly to see her her twiddling little penis, and she's like, you know, there's something actually, and it's even so far as like getting back to the body horror thing, like there's even like something of a sort of like transgendered analogy there, like she's taping down her tail, and squeeze. Well, she's sexualizing herself at the same time, of course, so she's not like binding, but she's still concealing some sort of like protrusion from her body. Yeah, and that's a little more uncomfortable than American Werewolf in London, where it's just like, this guy, like a hot nurse wants to fuck this guy. He's having weird dreams. It shows up in a porno. People are like, okay, especially in 1981.
Yeah, so true. There's an element of American Werewolf that it's like a product of a classic time. Like it's like a great evolution of the classic werewolf movies that I think would have like really impressed audiences like who are interested into that sort of stuff, right? But it's also kind of basic in a way. Like, it's really basic in a way. It's like guy falls in love, turns into werewolf, the end, shot.
Yeah, but there's something. Yeah, I think that's always going to be easier to swallow. Like, I don't know what and I don't in current. Maybe I'd be curious if anyone would ever do a Ginger Snaps remake and how that would work. I think we're ripe for it. I think they could do it, but
like a TV series, that's probably in the works. Like,
oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's probably more for TV, but I mean, they'd have to pull it real, right? Like, I don't know if they do this on TV. Like, this is not a TV movie. That's another thing I like about it.
Yeah, could do like an HBO.
Yeah, all right. So I don't know. Did we got anything else on this excellent film?
No, I mean,
I think that covers it.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, we're gonna once again. I don't know if you've listened to our first attempt at test drive.
I did.
Rating system.
Yeah.
So this, I just thought with the three of us, we'll just give it another go. So, Chris, guilty or innocent?
All right. So are we gonna do one at a time? You want to do American Werewolf first?
Oh, the quintessons are not concerned with your distinctions. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ginger Snaps is innocent because it is the greatest werewolf movie of all time. It just kicks ass. But I didn't. Yeah, I think I don't know. The American Werewolf's a real hard one. I'm gonna say guilty again of not passing the so what test. I condemn it.
Oh no!
To the Sharkticons.
That's right.
Oh shit!
All right. I wish if I had a soundboard, I would do that right now.
Yeah,
I know what you're getting for Christmas.
You should make a crude soundboard.
I don't know how he'd set it up. I got enough headaches. I got enough fucking editing headaches. I don't need a fucking soundboard editing headache.
Yeah. No, just like crude ones you play live through a speaker over the air.
Oh, I see. Like, who is your? Yeah, I could do like, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Woo woo. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think Ginger Snaps was innocent. It's just I don't know. That one's got a soft spot for me because of the time line on it and in a previous child crush on the actress. So I'm letting that one slide. That's a great horror movie and a good round of werewolf feminism. I'm giving a full innocent to American Werewolf in London. Also, thoroughly enjoyable. Just a fucking romp through insane town. And I also just felt like I was just with my buddy David hanging around in a fucked up situation that spiraled the toilet bowl until he died. And it was like a bad trip.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, it's going to be difficult. So definitely American Werewolf in London, innocent, completely innocent of any accusations raised against it.
Of course, a travesty.
I think that I think that we've demonstrated that the the accuser is not an individual who can be trusted. Our psychologists have spoke to their capacity, and they're very concerned. And yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of weaknesses, but at the same time, I think that it has a lot of depth for me. And even though it's a kind of an incoherent depth, it's like going underwater and just seeing a bunch of like jellyfish, like colored jellyfish, and you're just like, fuck, it's weird under here. I like that. and then Ginger Snaps, yeah, this movie's guilty of being extremely aggressive and very, very, I don't know, against normality. And we can't have this in our society, and we're going to have to get rid of it. Guilty.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. I don't know if you're using the court system right, but
You know why? He's been bought off by the suburban home developers.
Oh yeah, dirty judge. I guess I'm more of a.
Now all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.